Trump wants to eliminate income taxes. Here's how much you'd make and take home if you make $100,000 a year. Now, with all of this, you seem like he would be just inundated with the tariff situation. He has to get that thing fixed. Now he's thinking about abolishing the IRS. How does that work, Brian? President Trump said he'd like to eliminate the Internal Revenue Service, and with it, the income tax plan. His plan would be to replace the approximately $3 trillion per year the federal government gets in income taxes with sweeping tariffs. One issue with his plans is that tariffs high enough to replace the $3 trillion in federal income would ripple into higher prices for consumers, and any tax savings would be undercut by a higher cost of living.
I mean, this is the thing. Where the money is coming from does matter to an extent. I personally feel that you should tax the ultra wealthy and these corporations at a higher rate than you currently are, unless they're reinvesting. Stock buybacks should not be a thing. Number one, the companies should not be incentivized to not invest money in further development. They should be incentivized to hire more people, and so that's the way you get companies to invest in themselves. If more fully is to tax the earnings if they're not reinvested.
Got $110.
But if you're not going to be cutting spending, then you're going to still need the same tax basis. If you still need the same tax basis, then we're all going to be, whether or not we get to keep more of our income or not, we're all going to be paying it eventually anyways.
Yeah, I mean, like they've proposed a national sales tax, and then they have eliminated things that are not taxable, medical stuff, education, various things, power.
But those are still regressive taxes that impact the poor more so than they impact the wealthy.
No, I think it impacts everybody, including those getting paid cash and under the table, because they have to buy durable goods. So I think it's it's a more fairer tax because it's based on what you buy.
Oh no, it is.
If you don't buy a jet, then you don't have to pay 22% on that jet, and you're only buying a bicycle. Again, it's based on what you buy and use. So higher ticketed items, more wealthy people that buy more stuff that can afford it, pay more into the tax code than those that don't.
Yeah, no, that's not a terrible idea as long as it's not a flat rate tax. Like when, who was it? Herman Cain was like 999 with his whole, the pizza guy.
Yeah.
That wasn't a great idea. Because that is regressive in the sense that it is more impactful and harmful to the lower and middle class than it is to the rich.
The Neil Bortz used to be from Cox, was syndicated throughout Cox, and he had a talk show. And he had, I think at one time he ran fairtax.org.
He still does. It's still there.
Fairtax.org. And it was kind of like a 20% national sales tax on durable goods with some exceptions. Medical, education, I think food perhaps. And again, the collectors of this tax are the merchants that already take a tax. Gap, any place that you buy stuff, they're already equipped to collect state tax. Well, they just now collect a federal tax as well, and the onus of tax collection goes to the merchants who are already set up to collect tax. So they're just sending in, they're just collecting more tax and sending it into the government instead of relying on each individual American with a job to file their taxes. It's far more streamlined, and I think you keep more of your money as long as you're not out going hog wild buying ships and airplanes and helicopters.
I just don't the thing that's always baffled me is how the wealthy in this country were able to fool or bamboozle the middle class and the poor into somehow thinking that taxing, $25 billion that Elon Musk made on the year at 50% is somehow a bad idea. Elon Musk does not work any harder for $25 million than he did $25 million in one or $24,999,999. So there's only so many lawns a lawn jockey can mow in a given day. right? But the ability at that level, at that high level of ultra wealth, to continue to earn money is limitless. And taxing that money that Elon puts no additional effort in to make is not necessarily a bad idea to benefit the rest of society. Financial inequality, where 90% of the wealth is held by 10% of the people, is not a sustainable system. Again, high tides raise all ships. And so there is a huge problem with income inequality in this country. The median worker's a wage has not kept up with the cost of housing, education, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, health insurance. And so we have we're talking about tariffs and saying that that's a real problem that we have to address. We have a real income inequality problem in this country that we need to address. And that's even more important than the tariffs.
And our IRS is a very, very outdated, not fair. It's just the IRS is not fair for the average American. Because all these rich people have all these ways to not pay taxes, tax shelters, various corporations, various LLCs, various offshore accounts. I mean, the richer you are, the more people you hire to hide your money. Meanwhile, the average guy that's making $60,000, $70,000 a year that does his own taxes or pays, $300 for H&R Block to do it, he doesn't have shelters. He didn't have ways to hide his money. He didn't have LLCs and offshore, shell companies to hide his income or
the tax code's a joke.